I started.
Good afternoon to our friends in Vietnam. Good morning to everyone here in Italy. And I'm very pleased to start this meeting, which is the final meeting for this year, because this project is going ahead for 2 more years. I'm very pleased to present you what we did. When I say we, I mean both the Vietnamese team and the Italian team with respect to this relevant topic, which is geoinformatics and Earth observation for landslide monitoring. And we want to start with some welcome of very important people. And so first of all, I want to ask Mr. Van Tang Luong, I hope that the pronunciation is at least acceptable, if he wanted to welcome us to this workshop. So, Mr. Van Tang Luong, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you very much, Professor Maria Buvelli. When you said that I am a VIP, so I think that you call me wrongly, because I'm just a normal guy in the ministries working for humble job and keeping humble eyes on what you guys are doing. And actually, just I mean, I will start by sending my warmest greetings to all of you, both Italian college and Vietnamese college, to the workshop. And I'm personally honored to be here and deliver some message from the humble guy in the ministries. And I'm very happy to see that despite the pandemic hardship, people are still very active on the process of making the joint project working effectively. It shows a lot, actually. This project is selected through very competitive process between the two sides, Vietnamese side and Italian side, out of, I think, 40 proposals, more or less. So, and this one is one out of 8 top projects are running, and happy to share with you that this project is on very effective running pace. So I'm happy to see it. So I think personally that the project is well selected by the peer reviewers, both Vietnamese side and Italian side, because of the three pillars or 3 values that the project already showed up. One, clearly the topic itself shows a lot of meaning and the value, both scientific value and also, I mean, practical human life value. Put in the context of severe climate change and this kind of stuff. And secondly, I think the project is well selected because it value in the sense that Vietnamese partners, I mean the natural resources universities, and your university, Politecnico University of Milano, are among very competent agencies or players which are well fit to this project. And thirdly, of course, we see the inside contents. There are some, I would call it like add value that we can see clearly after the project finished. We can see more value can continue, like the partnership and also the people trained, and especially the Vietnamese team will be well trained through Italian partners. So by that I mean that those are 3 key values that we all see clearly through the project, and that's why it has been selected. And it also shows the fact that the peer reviewers have very sharp eyes, because you guys are on very active process to put the product ahead, despite the fact that the COVID pandemic is really, screwing us. So to cut it short, that I really see that from the Ministry of Science and Technology, we put our strong commitment to this project. And we really wanted to do our best in all senses to make the project running in a very effective manner. And of course, I really hope that, you know, in 1 or 2 years to come, we have something tangible in hands to talk with the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Italy, saying, "Hey guys, you see, it's well-selected project, and we select right people at the right times, and the project really contribute a lot to scientific communities and also to the people." So by this, I would wish the workshop every success and good health to every college today. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your very kind words. And I do hope that when we finish, we have something relevant for our countries. This is our aim. So let us hope that we are able of fulfilling this aim. And thank you again for your kind words. So at this point, I give the word to Professor Abbiati. Good afternoon, Marco.
Good afternoon. I was just turning on my microphone. Good afternoon to everybody, and I apologize for a more slight delay, but it was quite a busy time here. And I also have to apologize to the colleague from the Hurre for not being able to join them in person, because I would have loved to meet them again after the startup meeting we had at the beginning of the year. But for me, unfortunately, it was impossible today, but I will do my best next time to be with you at the university. And I would like also to welcome Dr. Long, which I didn't have the chance to meet yet at the Ministry of Science and Technology, but I'm really looking forward to meet you in person as soon as possible and as soon as the COVID situation allows us. And so I'm glad to be here almost 1 year after the startup meeting to see a very busy agenda of this meeting with many outcomes that already in the first year of the project have been achieved by the Vietnamese and Italian research teams, which is quite impressive. I mean, also because, as we know, both from the Italian side and the Vietnamese side, there were some delays in financing projects, in supporting projects, in giving the final approval. And so, I mean, I have to say that the scientists were it's evident that the scientists involved in the project are really willing to collaborate and willing to produce good science, apart from the difficulties that our organization can give to them. And I will not go in the project itself, but I would like to share with you 2 things. One is that in the after COP26, that was co-chaired by the UK and Italy, in Vietnam, there is an ongoing discussion with several ministries and with international organizations like UNDP about how Vietnam can fulfill the commitment to achieve the zero net emission by 2050. This was a big announcement that was done by the Prime Minister of Vietnam in Glasgow. Was unexpected. Everybody was hoping in it, but nobody expected to see it. So all the organizers, UK, Italy, but all the participants in COP26 really were very glad that the Prime Minister of Vietnam announced this commitment. But now it's necessary to see how to achieve this goal, which is a very hard task for a country like Vietnam, which is fastly growing, needs a lot of energy. A lot of energy is now produced using coal, so major changes are needed. A lot of investment are needed, but also a lot of technology and a lot of knowledge is needed. And in all the meetings, the need for Vietnam to develop scientific, technological collaboration and to develop technological skill, not only by importing technology from abroad, but also developing its own technologies, since Vietnam is able to do that, has all the conditions to develop its own technologies and innovation, is a key point. And I think that this project is one of the projects that is really going in this direction, both in terms of science, and I also very much appreciate the fact that the Italian and Vietnamese partners managed to include not only research and science, which is very enjoyable for scientists, but also teaching, which is, sometimes a more difficult task, but is essential in order to strengthen the collaboration. So I think that really is the right time for Italy and Vietnam to further develop and to strengthen the collaboration in order to support Vietnam in achieving this goal, and also in order to act for the prevention of the threats related to climate change, because Vietnam, as Italy, is a country very much exposed to threat to climate change. We hear a lot about adaptation and mitigation, are two keywords that everybody is using. When you have meetings, you can hear these words repeated and repeated, but then from the word to the action, there's a big gap, and we need to fulfill with science and with knowledge this gap between saying adaptation and mitigation and acting in order to obtain adaptation and mitigation. And I think that this project is really in the mainstream of this attempt, which is essential for Vietnam as well as for Italy. The second point that I would like to bring to your attention is that we are, 3 years, it's quite a long time, but at short time, it's the same. Time is short. And so this project, this is the first year of the project. We entered in the second year, and after the summer 2022, we have scheduled, together with Minister of Science and Technology, a meeting that should be held in Rome, hopefully in presence, to discuss and negotiate the next bilateral agreement, the next protocol for scientific collaboration. And I think that I'm really looking forward to meet the colleagues from MOST and to talk to them and to see together with them which topic we wish to include in the new agreement, in new exchange protocol, because I think that following Glasgow, following the COP26, looking at the achievement of the project that are ongoing, we can really sit and see which are the very, very important topics that Italy and Vietnam have to work together, and which are the very critical and hot topics to develop in terms of facing climate change and facing the commitments of the COP26. And therefore, I'm really also looking forward to receive inputs from the scientists involved in the bilateral project in order to suggest us the most advanced topic that we could include in the call in order to obtain the application for the most advanced research center and to promote further this collaboration, which I remind you is lasted since 25 years and has been always very, very successful. And in the middle of the next year, we also will have a midterm assessment of all the projects. It's just an information, but from, as I said, from the agenda of today, I see that there is no problem for you in order to provide a midterm report, but just to remind you that this is the next formal deadline that we have to face with the project that had been approved for 21 to 23. And I would like to congratulate all the principal investigators, of course, Maria and so on, but also all the collaborators of the project for the success. And I wish to go on as you did during this first year, because I think it was very successful. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Marco, also for this interesting news about the next year. And for sure, we are ready to give you suggestions about what is really important with respect to the climate change, both in Italy and Vietnam. So we will help you. We'll do. Thank
you. I rely on you, Maria.
Okay, thank you. And then thank you also for mentioning education, which is also so important also for us. And I take the opportunity that you mentioned education for introducing our next guests, who are on one side the Vice Rector of Hanoi University of Natural Resources, Professor Le Tin Trinh. Is it correct, Quang, the pronunciation? I hear none. Quang, can you confirm that Professor Trin?
Sorry, because especially Mr. Lương Văn Thắng, Ministry of Science and Technology, Professor Marco Abbiati, Embassy of Italy in Vietnam, Professor Cristiana Bocelli from Politecnico, University of Milan, distinguished guests, friends and scientists. First of all, on behalf of the Hanoi University of Natural Resources and Environment Implementation Institution on the Vietnam side, I would like to express my sincere thanks and warmly welcome guests, scientists, and representatives from government office, institute, university, and scientific organization in Vietnam, Italy, and overseas. All of participants attending Geoinformatics and Earth observation for Landslide monitoring workshop. This event is in the framework of protocol project between Vietnam and Italy, which implemented by UNRWA and Politecnico. Ladies and gentlemen, from the beginning of time, we are aware that studying landslide hazards is an important task and topic of current interest, especially in the fast industry revolution. Hence, the Vietnam Ministry of Science and Technology and Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation have approved decision for this bilateral program, which transport from the government and both countries, UNRWA and Politecnico, always assist the project management activity in order to improve the overall performance. In July 2021, UNRWA officially started the project with the efforts of researchers at university, along with GeoLab of Politecnico and other institutes. Over the first 6 months, thanks to thorough preparation and support from Politecnico, the project has achieved its planned outcome and objectives. In addition, some work packages in 2022, such as landslide accessibility maps websites, have already started in this phase with potential positive results. Finally, I would like to congratulate both Vietnam and Italy team. Thank you again for the efforts and the passion in science. Also, COVID-19 still hinders from international diplomacy. Many programs in research and development are going to tie our coordination together much better. I hope that the world will be completely back to normal by 2022, and in the next face-to-face meeting, we would have a great pleasure to host the conference. On behalf of the university board of members, we are committed to create the ideal working environment for scientists, making the best use of our science and research excellence to solve the world's big challenge and delivering benefits to our country and the institution. I wish you all good health, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and scientists. We will continue advocating for close collaboration between our two countries, Vietnam and Italy, and more especially between our two institutions in 2022, with open mind. We're looking to explore new ideas and ready to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And now I give immediately the word to the delegate of Politecnico for concluding this initial part. So, Cristiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maria, and hello and good afternoon to everybody. It's really a pleasure for me to be here after 1 year and seeing a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of results, as my predecessors already said. It has been quite a success to get the project approved, and all the selection process was really tough, but it is even better to see, from my point of view, a very lively project that walks through the steps towards a very important goal. As we are seeing today, monitoring the Earth and being able to at least try to forecast, and as Professor Abbiati was saying, try to act in advance in order to find solutions to what we are observing is fundamental. And it's really a pleasure to see two institutions who are really working towards a sustainable future, put their efforts and energies together to get these kind of results. I think that between Italy and Vietnam in general, but between our institutions, there is a long-term relationships, and it's really one of the precious assets that we are here to, let's say, acknowledge today, and wish that this path keeps going on also in the future, beyond this project, but in this project with very much effort and strength by everybody. So I keep it very short. I wish you a very successful workshop today, but even a better progress in the next 2 years. And I really hope that we will be able to be in person, maybe by the end of this project, if not sooner, because it's been a nice time to, let's say, strengthen our relationships and see how it works, working together under the same umbrella of this opportunity. Thank you, Maria, and thank you to the Vietnamese colleagues and the very important people. I'm not part of them, but as the first speaker was saying, but it's a pleasure. Thank you very much, and have a nice and fruitful workshop today.
Thank you so much, Cristiana, also. And yes, all of us, we hope sooner or later to have the possibility of meeting in person with the researchers in Vietnam, because I will show you, we had many meetings this year, but all the meetings obviously online. And it is a pity, because being in presence is another point. So it's possible to work well, also remotely, but having the possibility of meeting, having lunch together, having dinner together, celebrate the success of the project together, it's another point. So let's hope for a better 2022, or at least to be to have the possibility before the end of the meeting or the project of having a meeting in presence. So thank you to all of you. And now let us start with the presentation of what we have been doing. So I will start sharing my screen with the general introduction to the project, also for the people who don't know it so well. So it's really an overview about the project and what we did. We will enter in more details in the next presentations. So first of all, as it was already said, this is a project managed by one side by the Hanoi University, on the other side by Politecnico di Milano, even if on the side of Vietnam there are more universities participating in the project, and my colleague Quang will present something more later. And the topic of this project is to monitor landslides. And this is a very relevant problem both in Italy and in Vietnam. And it is becoming also more relevant now that we are in this situation of climate change, because, for instance, extremes events are for sure enablers of landslide. And so we have to keep more attention on that specific problem. With respect to landslide, we are focusing on innovative approaches like Earth observation, machine learning for processing the data, but also the citizen science. So exploiting the power of the people who can contribute in monitoring what is going on. And the last point is that we want to do scientific research for sure, but we are really interested also in education, and you will see what we already started. And we believe that this is very important, both from the direct impact on students, but also for the indirect influence on technology transfer, also outside the academia environment. So we have an area of attention also with respect to this aspect. Okay, so I said that we had many meetings, and you can see here that we started immediately in January, independently of the fact that we were not sure about the award of the project, but we already started, and that was good because when then there was the official kick-off the project, we already have started working. And you see that we had a meeting every other month in such a way to update ourselves with respect to what to do and so on. It was really a collaborative work what we did. And I believe that this is a great success of this project, of really being able of working together. There are many people involved, both in the two teams, and I want to present in this slide those people. So there are the professors of Politecnico that you see in the first line, but then there are also some temporary researchers like Basil Jordanov, like Lorenzo Amici, who is a master's student, Diego Camin, who is again a temporary researcher with a small contract, Monica Corti, again a temporary researcher, and Lorenzo Panzeri, who is a PhD candidate, and Andrea Abati, who is again a PhD candidate. So this is from the on the Italian side. You see how many people contributed to this project, and again, this is on the Vietnamese side. So also on the Vietnamese side, you can see subdivided in the different topics, geomatics, data science, geology, and hydrology, how many people were contributing to the success of this project. And I want to thank all of you for your enthusiasm with respect to this project and everything you did for its success. Okay, so we had the initial workshop, official workshop, when the project was officially awarded the 12th of May. And so this was the first official workshop we had before an informal kickoff meeting among us. And then the project is subdivided in different work packages. So the first work package was about organizing the workshop, and we did. The second work package is about defining the case studies, 2 case studies per country. And we did that. So specifically the case studies that were considered are the 2 cases of Upper Valtellina and Valtartano in Lombardy, in Italy, and then the 2 regions of Van Yen district and Mu Chang Chai district, Yen Bai province in Vietnam. And so the first work package was related to start collecting the data that are relevant for studying the susceptibility map and for monitoring a landslide. And you see here that we started collecting this data. We have a shared database. We created a shared database, and there is a first prototype of WebGIS, which is just a prototype by now. We will improve in the next year, but we will show you what is available by now. The work package number 3 was related on the opposite on procedures and the methodologies, and specifically was related to machine learning. And we also, the chair of this work package is Ure. And we did a lot of study about that. You will see in the following presentations. And there are also some papers that we published with respect to this topic, some joint papers that we published. Then the other work package 4, is related to citizen science. And with respect to that, we already started working. We developed a mobile application for collecting the data, but also a QGIS plugin for downloading the data and a web app for visualizing the data. Obviously, this is also a prototype, so we have to improve it, but a lot of work was done, and we are happy also of presenting this one in such a way that if you have suggestions, if you want to try all these prototypes, you can do that. And if you have suggestions, those suggestions are very, very welcome. Okay, then there is the work package number 5 that is chaired by Ure again, that is about the GeoWeb platform for presenting the results. And also with respect to this one, we started working, but we will go ahead in working next year. And also with respect to that, we can show you a prototype of what we have been doing till now. And then the last work package of the year was about organizing this final workshop. And we are here for this final workshop. I want just to recall that this workshop is organized in the framework of the National Day of the Space, the Italian National Day of the Space, because it is the anniversary of the launch of the first Italian satellite that was called San Marco satellite. It was launched many years ago in '64, but exactly the 15th of December. So this event, the final workshop, was chosen as being part of all the events related to the National Day of the Space, because we are dealing with Earth observation. So satellite data as well, and the sensor data in general, besides all these sensors data, also data from the space. Okay, so this is the general introduction. And now I want to leave the word to the people who have been so pivotal with respect to this project, because they did the most of the practical work. And so I will ask Vasil Yordanov, engineer Vasil Yordanov, to start his presentation about some details about the project. So Vasil,
yes,
the floor is yours. Okay, I've stopped sharing.
Now you should see. Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm glad that you're joining us, and I'll go a little bit deeper and to expand our products, to explain what we did through this year. And again, I'll go more or less similar to the presentation of Professor Brovelli, work package by work package, but more detailed. So firstly, I wanted to just talk a little bit more about the case studies that we chose and we were working on in Italy. So the one is for Val Tartano and the other one is for Valtellina, both in the Lombardy region in northern Italy. And mainly they were chosen due to the high abundance of landslide events in there, and according to our inventories, as you can see, there are more than 750 events in one of the smaller case study, the small basin, and more than 2,000 in the bigger one. So we chose them, and each of them has its important reason to be enrolled. For example, the Valtartan was chosen mainly to be tested and implemented different susceptibility mapping approaches, while the Upper Votelina, the bigger case study, was for testing purposes, and also it is well important because inside of it, it is located one big and active landslide, the Ruinon landslide, which we have did quite a lot of observations from satellite imagery, airborne, and there are also ground-based monitoring systems. So in the work package 2, the main aim was to collect relevant data, the thematic relevant data for each basin, and we did that collecting vector data, raster data, starting of course with the most important that we needed. This was the landslide inventories, all the topographical layers, and which were collected either from some local environmental agency or from OpenStreetMap, which is citizen science projects for contributing for mapping. And we did also some field surveys. All the data was done in a consistent way, which means that it was applied the same pre-processing. It was ensured to be in the same scale as much as possible with most of the layers and the data information that we had. So just for here, I'll a bit deviate and go to the monitoring part, which is also important for the following packages. We were focused on monitoring the Ruinon landslide with UAV surveys. Actually, if you okay, so what we did 2 surveys, UAV surveys of Ruinon landslide in 2021, but before that, 2 years ago, actually Arpa Lombardia, the environmental agency, did quite a lot of observations again, because the landslide was quite active in this period. And most of the products that were from those observations are either point clouds and orthophotos and digital surface models with varying resolution, but more or less in the range between 5 and 10 centimeters per pixel. So using ours and also the previous observations that were kindly provided to us, we were able to do some analysis by comparing the products and actually evaluated the difference between 2 observations. So, of course, to be geo-referenced properly and accurate, we have collected some ground control points during the field surveys, and our products were with quite a high density from the point of view of point clouds, where we obtained around 10 centimeters and 5 centimeters of ground sampling distance and accuracy of 12 centimeters when we applied the ground control points, and you can see it's a little bit lower when it's not, and we're relying just on the GPS of the UAV that we were using, which, by the way, was let's say low cost one and lightweight, that allowed us actually to obtain very high results, very high resolution results. So those are the orthophotos for the July and October surveys, and we have also the point clouds obtained for this period. And okay, we did some of comparison to evaluate if there are some displacements. Most of them actually can be considered in the margin of the error for the co-registration between 2 of the point clouds. Here in the lower part of the landslide, actually there's some construction work because they're doing retaining wall, so those are the difference. However, on other more detailed observations, we noted a little bit more detailed difference. And upon verification using the orthophoto imagery, noted a few displaced and accumulated materials, most probably because here this part is a rock face and there are some detachments from there. And some other displaced boulders are also noticed with additional fallen trees. Just for scale, I put here that this boulder, even if it looks small, it's 1.5 meters. Of course, more interesting observations could be in the period when the landslides were more active. And here, just an example is given with the point clouds provided by Alpha Lombardia, where we did different analysis, and we managed to analyze how much volume was displaced, so detached and accumulated. Okay, we had another landslide in the valley of Valtartan, which was relatively small, but also for which we did 2 UAV surveys. However, it is quite stable as for now. Also, there is very good drainage system and a small retaining lower, I would say. That after comparing our point clouds, actually most of the difference was due to the vegetation, because as you can see, the whole landslide is covered with dense vegetation. So for the third working package, which is related to artificial intelligence, and I would not say much because this will be more detailed talked in the following presentation, but we apply different machine learning approaches for susceptibility mapping for both valleys. And also it was applied landslide monitoring approach using satellite cross-correlation images. On the part with the citizen science, actually, it was developed data gathering citizen science-based mobile application, which had the goal to collect more relevant and data for the which will be able to compile landslide inventories. And the main goals was that the app would be used by also professional and non-professional users with different kind of experience in the landslide field, following really basic standard geological observation questionnaire. And the app is already available. It is in both in English and in Italian. Also Vietnamese language should be added. It is free and open source. So it is how it works. The user follows the guide and adds the landslide to the server, and then from the server, actually, it can be obtained and put into QGIS using the dedicated landslide survey plugin or the landslide survey web app, which is active, and mainly it's for the purpose of exploring the available data and depict some basic statistics, while the QGIS plugin is actually if you want to use the data in some other analysis or to obtain it. So these are a few of the screenshots. The user needs to be registered. So with the registration to the app, the user can also enter into the web app with the same credentials. The app needs to locate using the built-in GPS of the mobile phone, and following the questionnaire and the provided information, the landslide is provided, stored into the server. Also, there's the possibility to add images of the landslide that is under observation. There are two types of questionnaires. One is for simple and more expert user, and the question details are different. So for expert, of course, there are much more details that can be filled. Okay, here, for example, how to choose the landslide types with some explanation. These are the options and which can be filled, and we're also providing the options of the answers. This is an example of the QGIS plugin, which is very simple. The user should provide basically the bounding box of the area of interest, and everything is loaded and can be saved into the QGIS. This is an example, so it can be inside QGIS, it can be seen what the information is stored. The Ruinot landslide and the small landslide in Valtartano are already there. This is the example, the starting screen of the landslide app, which actually I want to show you quite fast. Okay. So with the same registration, the user can enter in the app. And this is the first screen where we can see the map with all the observations that have been provided. The user can zoom and check the locations. Okay, now they're visible. The data can be explored also in a table form. Of course, there's some test inputs that should be removed. There are some basic statistics based on the input data as different. Okay, and there is the dashboard that can be compiled, for example, for one landslide. And everything is on one page with all the details that is put and part of the statistics. Okay, continue. Okay, so this was on the part of the citizen science where everyone can contribute for a more complete landslide inventory, but also we contributed with our observations. So all the orthophotos, ortho images that were obtained during our UAV surveys are uploaded in Open Aerial Map, which is a platform for contributing with high resolution aerial imageries. So we also provided our there. The second part with the providing of data, the fourth part is related to the WebGIS, that there is also simple prototype for sharing all the data that we have collected during this project, which is here. Okay, for now it is there is more data for our Valtartano basin. The user basically for now the function is to be as a viewer without possibility to download, but also the user can choose which data to include in their viewer just to explore. For example, here we have also the susceptibility maps are already uploaded with some legend and information about the map that is viewing for now. It is also operating the other part of the shared geospatial web platform is related to let's say a set of systems that are implemented under the head of Geonode. So we're using GeoServer and OpenLayers for a platform where we, as producing the data for the project, can upload the data, and then the data can be used and freely downloaded by any user. It can be explored, can be compiled some maps. Okay. Actually, also for this one, I can show you a bit of prototype. So this is the page. We have some layers already uploaded or some map compiled. Okay, let me show you. Okay, for example, again, the susceptibility map is uploaded. It is so it is visible in the layer and on the map. Just locate it. Okay. And there's additional attributes that can be, of course, related to the data and the way that it was uploaded, but also the user, even though that is not into the project, can compile different maps using the layers that are already provided, or to download them as they are. Okay. So I think this is it for me. Thank you for the attention and for everyone contributing to the project.
Thank you, Basil. And now I ask Lorenzo Amici to go ahead and to go deeper with respect to the computation of the susceptibility map and the monitoring of landslides.
Yes. So good morning to everyone, or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. So I am Lorenzo Amici. I am a student of the Master in Geoinformatics Engineering at Politecnico di Milano. And the work I will describe you with these slides is related to my master thesis, which I did with Professor Brovelli as my supervisor and Dr. Jordanov as my co-supervisor. And so I will talk about susceptibility maps for landslides and also landslide monitoring with satellite images. So the first part I will talk about is the landslide susceptibility mapping. So the purpose of this part of my work was to use the random forest machine learning algorithm to produce landslide susceptibility maps. Landslide susceptibility maps are basically maps that are depicting the probabilistic level of an area, of a territory to be prone to landslides. We focused on two areas of interest, Val Tartano and Upper Valtellina, both in northern Lombardy, and both with a great number and variety of landslide phenomena inside them. The software employed for the development of this analysis was QGIS for the data preprocessing and data exploration. The R programming language, and in particular the model map package for the random forest algorithm to be developed, and Google Earth Engine for some data preparation and computation that I will talk about later. This is the general workflow for the landslide susceptibility mapping. So as you can see, the model, in this case random forest, is fed with information about the past landslide, so the landslide inventory, also with information about the absence of a landslide with a no-landslide inventory, and with environmental factors which are related to the occurrence of landslide. As you can see also here, the two inventories, both the landslide and the no landslide one, are divided into portions. One is for training the model and the other one is for validating the resulting susceptibility map. So therefore assessing the accuracy of the map. So for the landslide zone, of course, the knowledge of past events is fundamental for landslide susceptibility studies. In the case of my work, we used two layers provided by ISPRA, which are the polygonal and linear landslide features in both the areas we considered. We also filtered out, so excluded from the analysis, the rockfalls and complex landslide, thus focusing on slower movement, slower landslides, such as debris flows and rotational and translational slides. And as I said, this inventory was then divided in two portions, the training portion and then one for the model validation, with 80% for the training and 20% of the features for the validation. As you can see here in the map, the red ones are the training landslides and the blue ones are the ones used for testing. An innovative aspect of my work with respect to landslide susceptibility studies is providing the model also with information about the absence of landslides. So constructing by hypothesis a no landslide zone. This was a trial and error process with few hypotheses made, tested, and then modified if they were not satisfactory. And so the first hypothesis was to consider as no landslide zone all areas with a slope angle smaller than 20 degrees or higher than 70 degrees. So very flat or very steep areas. We also wanted to strengthen, in a second hypothesis, this condition by also adding a constraint on the lithology of the terrain, thus considering only the terrain that had intact uniaxial compressive strength higher than 50 megapascal. The intact uniaxial compressive strength is basically a measure of how a material can undertake stress. The problem with this second hypothesis was that the cities and villages, such as Bormio, that you can see here on the left, were excluded from the no landslide zone, which was considered not correct, and therefore this hypothesis was modified, and the final hypothesis that I used in my work was to consider all the areas that had a slope angle less than 5 degrees, no matter what the lithology was. And then for the areas that had a slope angle between 5 or 20 degrees and higher than 70 degrees, also add the condition on the IUCS that had to be higher than 100 megapascal. And as you can see here in this map, this is the result for the Upper Valtellina area of interest. Also, the environmental factors that I considered for the analysis were chosen amongst the ones that are most likely to cause or accelerate landslide phenomena according to the literature. As you can see here, this is the list of the factors included and fed to the model, and particular attention could be given to the precipitation factor, which was firstly used for producing susceptibility maps, but then it was removed because it had a coarse resolution, and this affected the results in a negative way. Also, the lithology and the slope variables were considered to be added to the environmental variables, but then they were removed because they are already considered in the construction of the no landslide zone, as I said before. So they were removed from the list of the factors included. Finally, these are the results, the two results for the areas of interest, the susceptibility maps for Upper Valtellina and Valtartano. As you can see here, the probabilistic level was then classified in 4 classes, from low to very high landslide risk or susceptibility. And so these are the 2 resulting maps that were later validated with 3 different methods: the overall accuracy, the area under the receiver operating characteristic curve, and the area under the precision recall curve. Both the predictive and fitness performances of the models were computed, and all the metrics for the validation showed very good, if not perfect, performances of the models. Moreover, we, as Dr. Jordanov already said, we knew a landslide in Valtartano which was not included in our landslide inventory. And by visually inspecting the borders of this landslide, we can see that it was correctly classified as high and mostly very high risk of landslide, as you can see here in this picture in the bottom right. Then moving on to landslide displacement monitoring. In this case, I focused on developing a procedure that was able to identify landslide displacement using Sentinel-2 satellite images and applying maximum cross correlation to them. The analysis was then carried out on the Ruinon landslide, which is situated in the Upper Valtellina area of interest, and it is one of the most active landslides in the Alps, and therefore it was considered a very good example on which to test this procedure. The software employed in this part of my study was GrassGIS and the Python programming language for developing the scripts. This is the workflow that the procedure follows. It all starts with the image download from the official Sentinel-2 website. Then the images downloaded are pre-processed. The pre-processing consists of clipping the images to a temporary area of interest, applying cloud masking, and also an atmospheric correction. After the pre-processing, the images have to be co-registered, meaning that we want them to be aligned as much as possible. And also after the co-registration, we can clip them to a smaller and final area in order to focus directly on the landslide, as you can see here in the image on the left bottom corner. Then all the images downloaded are also histogram matched, so their band values are modified to be as close and as similar as possible. And these final images, after all these steps, are then processed with the maximum cross-correlation method that I will explain in the next slide here. Okay, so for applying the maximum cross-correlation method, we need two images. One we will call the master image, and the second one we will call the slave image. The algorithm works in this way. It places a window on the same position for both images. Then the window on the slave image is shifted in all directions, and a cross-correlation coefficient is computed for each of these shifts. And then the algorithm chooses the window, the shift that has the maximum cross-correlation coefficient, and computes a displacement vector between the center pixel of the master window and the center pixel of the new shifted window on the slave, and that is the displacement of the pixel on the master image. As you can see here, for example, there is this red dot, which we could consider as an object on the territory, which has moved on the bottom right diagonal, and so the algorithm computes a displacement vector from the original position to the new position of the object. This procedure could be implemented with two different approaches: fixed master, which means that the master image always remains the same and is generally the first chronological image, or moving master, which means that the master image changes for each iteration and is basically the previous chronological image with respect to the slave one. In my work, this analysis was applied with two different purposes, and therefore to do the two different time periods. The first purpose was to monitor the movement of the landslide over the years. So I selected one image per year from 2015 to 2020. And the second purpose was a focus on the summer 2019, which was a period of high activity for the Ruinon landslide. And so I selected three images, one per month, July, August, and September 2019. As you can see here, these are all the images, the image codes that I used for the analysis. And this is an example of the results. So this is the first part of the result, because it's only the displacement magnitude, so the length of the displacement. This is particularly computed between 2019 and 2020, as you can see here. So the first one is the master image, the second one is the slave image. And here on the right, we have the results. all the pixels that are colored are the ones that are depicted, are identified as moving from the procedure. And as you can see here in the legend, we have the magnitude of this movement. The minimum distance starts from 10 meters because this is the minimum identifiable displacement by this procedure, because it corresponds to the Sentinel-2 resolution, image resolution. The correspondent part of the output is also the direction. So the same images, also the procedure also produces the direction of the movement. So the cardinal direction of the movement, as you can see here. In the end, for summarizing all the results for all the images in the periods, we can produce windrows diagrams, therefore visualizing in one single diagram the direction of the movement, the percentages of pixels that are moving in that direction, so this is the length of these segments, and also with a color code the displacement magnitude, as you can see here in the legend. And on the left, you can see the windrows diagram for the yearly analysis from 2015 to 2020, and on the right, the one for summer of 2019. You can see that it seems that the main direction identified by the procedure in both periods is the south direction, which is partially coherent with what we know about the landslide, because we know that the landslide is mainly moving along the south-southwest diagonal. In the end, also these results were validated by comparing them with the data coming from the UAV surveys of the landslide. The landslide, as already said, was the subject of a series of UAV surveys, and in particular, I applied the same procedure, the same cross-correlation procedure to the RGB images coming from the UAV surveys. And then I compared them with the ones from obtained by analyzing Sentinel-2 images. And the difference both between on the magnitudes of the displacement and on the direction of the displacements are very low. So this is a first confirmation of the validity of the results. And moreover, also looking at the displacements along the z-axis, it was possible to see that in correspondence of the highest movement detected by the procedure, there were accumulation zones, as you can see here on the bottom of the landslide. There is accumulation zone which could be produced by the movement upslope movement. And concluding, for the landslide susceptibility mapping, the random forest was once again proved to be very reliable for landslide susceptibility studies. And in particular, my work confirmed that the inclusion information about zones that are by hypothesis not prone to landslide could affect in a very positive way the model and the results. Also, all the validation metrics agreed when evaluating the fitness and the prediction performances of the model. About landslide displacement monitoring, despite this being a first stage approach, for landslide monitoring with satellite images and the maximum cross-correlation method, it led to promising results. And also the validation techniques confirmed the validity of the procedure. Future developments in both of these topics could be for landslide susceptibility mapping to also consider multi-temporal landslide inventories, to explore the effect of other environmental factors, and to further improve the definition of this no landslide zone. And for the landslide displacement monitoring, of course, this procedure could be tested with applying that to different landslides with different characteristics, and also the using higher resolution images and trying to mitigate the errors arising from the pre-processing phases could very much could produce better results. So thank you for the attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Was very clear. I don't want to open now for questions, so we will have a session in the end of the workshop for questions, and on the opposite, but I want to thank you. Thank you also to Basil before, very clear presentations. Thank you. And on the opposite, I want to go ahead now again with the presentation of something which is related to machine learning and susceptibility mapping. So I give the word to Diego now.
Okay,
so
thanks.
Diego,
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning and good afternoon. I will share my screen. So here we are. All right. Okay. So good afternoon to the people in Asia and good morning to the people in Europe. My name is Diego Camin, and I will be talking about a hybrid approach to classify susceptibility. We have been talking about susceptibility. Oh, sorry. We have been talking about susceptibility. And the important thing in susceptibility mapping is that we want to exploit landslide inventory to discover the conditions and principal characteristics that the landslides have. And in this regard, we want to discover these conditions, and in this manner, we can generalize. But we have a setback, that is the fact that if we have a point in the earth that has no record of landslide, it doesn't mean that there will be no landslide in the future in this point. So there is the challenge of distinguishing between points with low risk and points that might present a novel landslide. This is an important setback, and another setback is the fact that the different landslide types have different mechanisms. For example, if we have a wedge that falls by gravity that surpass the strength capacity, is very different phenomena than the debris flow, that is water that is transporting material through a narrow channel, or granular falling like the rockfall. So we have to take care about this, and we have data. So we of course propose machine learning, and given the unavailability of reliable no landslide labels, we want to learn the labels unsupervisedly in order to feed a supervised model that is more suitable for susceptibility mapping. So we will explore the possibility of using both approaches, and this is why this is an hybrid approach. And other authors have used this in the past. They have used a simple methods such as PCA or factor analysis or k-means, and other authors have gone further with autoencoders. That is a way of compressing data over a lower dimensional manifold. And in this study, we propose the method of T-distributed stochastic neighbor embedding. That is basically, we compute directly a probability distribution of pairs of points in the feature space. And the goal of this method is to find another similar probabilistic distribution over a less complex dimension space. And so we are going to minimize the cross entropy between these two distributions. And this is how it works. And this is done by gradient descent. And in this case, we will use this unsupervised approach for dimensionality reduction, feature selection, and we will feed the supervised algorithms with the outcome of this analysis. So I will be talking about the methodology. We start from Earth observation data, and we convert this data to features such as slope and vegetation index, as the previous presentations. We have the landslide inventory, and we want to split it and treat the different landslide types differently and independently because they are different phenomena. So we want to reduce the dimensionality in a unsupervised approach, and this will allow us to select good combinations of features that are able to be easily classified by simple procedures. And this will feed our supervised approaches. And we evaluated different algorithms that these algorithms were chosen because they have good capacity of computing probabilities. And susceptibility is a probability, so we performed a cross-validation of them, a k-fold cross-validation. We select the best model, so then once we have a model, we are able to compute a susceptibility map. So this is the landslide inventory of Val Tartano. Not to give many details about this, but as we can see in here, we have that some landslide types have a big extension over the space, and this means that they encompass a wide range of values over the feature space. So for example, we have the rotation and translation sliding. We have points that present landslide, but they are located at the heights and in the valleys with low vegetation and with high vegetation. And this is a problem because it is harder to find patterns if it contains all the content value of values. And this happens with the debris flow, in particular the ones that are represented by lines, because they are narrow channels in which the debris flows. And on the other hand, we have polygons of debris flow that are the parts that are accumulating in the valleys, and we treat them differently because they are different things. And the important thing is that when we have such wide areas of landslide, it can be the case that the trigger happens in a certain point, but we see the consequences on another point. And this is a problem that we need to take into account as well. Regarding the Earth observation features, we use these ones, and I will talk a little bit about the plan and profile curvature. When we compute plan and profile curvature, we have that the variations over the space are very sharp, and this is not good for machine learning analysis. So we applied Gaussian filter over them. We have also the convexity, that it is the percentage of positive curvatures over search windows in the space. And we want to highlight the use of landform classification. And landform classification is an approach proposed by these authors. It is an unsupervised classification that it is based on the slope, the convexity, and the texture of the Earth. It provides 16 distinct clay classes that we will use in our machine learning analysis. And it is very useful, and it has the capacity of being complementary with other features. We expect that the landslides depends on this. So regarding the unsupervised learning, for example, we have these four features, and we compress them. We represent them over a more simpler dimension space with 2 dimensions, and we want to shatter or separate these the points over this space by making some assumptions. And in this case, we assume, for example, that a certain percentage of the points are safe or are low risk. And for example, we have this line. At the right of the line, we have points that there have been no landslide, but we assume that these points may present novel landslides, and the points at the left are considered as the safe ones. We perform a very simple linear classificator that will, and the outcome of this will be used for the supervised learning to learn a model to perform susceptibility mapping. These are the results of the supervised learning. We perform a k-fold cross-validation, which using 5 folds. We use as a performance metric the area under the precision recall curve. And this is one of the best metrics, as other authors have said. And we have that among the algorithms we used, support vector machines outperform the other ones in all the landslide types. So this is what we use to compute our preliminary results, because this is an ongoing work. So these are the preliminary results. We can see that we treat debris flow as lines and as polygons differently. We have that in the case of debris flow and translation and rotational sliding, the points are located in over a wide variety of conditions. And this makes the task of identifying patterns more hard. And because we have the whole range of values over the feature space, and and this is why we can see that the image shows high susceptibility in a lot of area, and we have to take care about this. But on the other hand, we have other landslide types that present more a better classification, such as the debris flow as polygons. This is the debris that it is accumulating in the valleys. And this is an ongoing work, and we will explore on further feature combinations and further classification algorithms. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot, Diego, and also Professor Biagi, who worked on this topic. And as you say, there is an intermediate result, and obviously we need sooner or later also to compare the different results to see where they agree, because in principle it's possible also to make more robust the estimation, to consider the 2 different paths and see where they agree. So thank you so much. And then we pass now to the geological part. So the ground truth with the geomorphology. And I give the word to Monica Corti, Dr. Monica Corti, for presenting the part related to geology.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon. I'm Monica Corti and I'm the geologist of the group. So today I'm speaking about the geomorphology of the two study areas that were presented before, and I will make a discussion regarding the result of the susceptibility maps of the colleagues. Okay, as said before, we have two case studies located in northern Italy that shares some similar points. They are located in the same province, as I said, in the province of Sondrio, and they are in two different sectors of the Alps that shares, though, some similar geological aspects that I will discuss later on. Also, these are two typical alpine catchments. So in these two basins, we have similar processes. We have one main river course with similar tributaries. We have steep channels that are frequently subjected to debris flows, rocky slopes with diffused rock falls and the related accumulations that are called taluses. And also we have deep-seated gravitational slope deformation that are caused by the deglaciation in the last years, in the last geological period. These catchments are different in sizes. The Val Tartano catchment is way smaller than the Upper Valtellina, and both have a major landslide. The Pruna rock slide is located in Val Tartano, and the Ruinon rock slide located in Upper Valtellina. Okay, now I will present you the geological setting of the Valtellina. You can see here a sketch, a geological sketch of this part of the alpine orogeny. You can see that we have in Valtellina different domains of the Alps. Valtellina indeed is located along the border between the Adriatic plate and the European plate that were involved in the alpine orogenesis. These two sectors are separated by a destral strike-slip fault called Insubric line. And this is important to our, study areas because this is a big fault that have together with this fault, there are other deformations that are secondary faults that we'll see later on. As said, we have two alpine domains that are called Austro-Alpine domain and Southern Alps. Upper Valtellina is in the Austro-Alpine, whereas the Val Tartano is in the Southern Alps. Here we can see a zoom in to the Val Tartano area and a geomorphological map related to this case study. You can see that we have not so many geological units. We are in the so-called crystalline basement of the Southern Alps, and the rocks are all metamorphic lithologies. We have some gneiss and some schists. The important thing related to this sector is that, as said before, we have many faults related to the Insubric line and to the Linea del Porcile. These are forcing some deformations in the valley. You can see also that in this valley, we have a lot of deposits. We have a lot of glacial deposits related to the last glacial period. These factors influences the formation of landslides because we can have the formation related to the faults that are weaker zones. Also, the metamorphic rocks influences the sliding because we have some schistosity planes in these kind of rocks. The glacial deposits are also a bad characteristic for the formation of landslides because they are heterogeneous, they have a low cohesion, and they are permeable, so water can infiltrate a lot in these deposits. Also, if we watch at the slope map of the valley, we can see that we have a lot of steep channels where we can have the formation of debris flows. So in this valley, we have a lot of debris flows in these channels, slides and also shallow landslides inside the glacial deposits, and major landslides near the main faults. You can see, for example, the Pruna landslide, which is here where the yellow star is, that is next to different fault planes, and the movement is also influenced by the schistosity planes of the rocks. In this slide, I want to show again the inventory of the landslides. On the left, we can see the complete inventory, and in the right, instead, we have the filtered inventory that was used to make the susceptibility maps. The susceptibility maps, as I said before, considered only the movement related to the flows and to the slides. But you see that in this valley, we have a lot of deformations as shown on the left part. We can see that we have a lot of flows again in the channels and slip near the faults and in the glacial deposits. Comparing this map to the susceptibility map obtained by colleagues, we can see that the susceptibility maps have a very widespread, a very high class that allows to consider also the soil slips that are not included in the original inventory. So this is good because we can some not mapped before movements are considered in the final map. Otherwise, we can see also that there are some false positives because this very high class is a little bit widespread, far from the channels and far from the glacial deposits and the faults. Considering the upper Valtellina, we can see that the processes are similar. We have still a lot of glacial deposits. Here also we have still present glaciers because we are more in a more elevated zone in the Alps. The rocks are still, we have still a lot of metamorphic rocks with still metamorphic schistosity planes that drives the slip movements. But we have also, in contact with these faults, different formations. There are limestones and dolostones. There are more harder rocks than the metamorphic rocks. And also we have some intrusive rocks, some gabbros and diorites that are way harder than the limestones. Still in this part of the Alps, we have again some faults. The major fault here is the linea of Zebrou, but this linea of Zebrou, as you see, is linked with different joints that are in the dashed lines in the map. So we expect to have a lot of deformation near these joints. You see that also in this area we have steep channels, for example, in the lower part of the valley, but in the center of the valley we have lower slopes. Instead, in the middle part of the valley, we have a lot of fillets, so a lot of low competence metamorphic rocks. So here a lot of the landslides develops. For example, the Ruinon landslides. And in the IFP database, we can see that the slides are concentrated in the middle of the study area, where we have the schist units and the glacial deposits, where the debris flows are again concentrated in the steep valleys. As in the case of Tartano, we can see that we have a widespread, very high class, but in this case, we can recognize a more concentrated, very high class in the central part of the study area, where we have the Ruinon landslide and where we have all the slidings. The only thing, the black square is instead evidencing that in this area we have only some debris flow movements and not so many sliding, because we have the intrusive rocks in the lower part of the valley. So discussing with the colleagues, they are trying to define a no landslide zone. But in this area, it's difficult to define a no landslide zone because we have so many processes involved in the formation of the landslides, and we have a homogeneous territory, for example, in Val Tartano. So in Val Tartano, it's difficult to define a no landslide combination because of the widespread faults and of the widespread glacial deposits. Similar consideration can be made for Upper Valtellina, where we have still similar factors, even if we have other rocks that can avoid the formation of the landslides differently from the Val Tartano area. It is possible then to consider other parameters related to topography for the identification of ridges and valleys as the topographic position index. And also it is possible to consider some different, further aspects related to the soil. For example, the soil thickness that is important for the glacial deposits, and that is mapped in some database online. And also another factor that can be investigated could be the granulometry. That can be, for example, derived from the soil grids world database. In conclusion, the susceptibility maps obtained are good for the prediction of phenomena that are not included in the IFP database as the shallow landslides, even if the very high class should be a little bit reduced in order to not have false positives. The definition of a no landslide zone is quite difficult in such a complex geomorphological context, and then further work can go into the consideration of supplementary factors. Moreover, it is possible to reconsider the anthropic factors in such a natural context where we have not so many roads and not so many roads because we are in a bit isolated location of Lombardy. Sorry for my voice. This morning I have a cold. I am a bit cold. But this is the end of my presentation.
So thank you, Monica. Don't worry about your voice. It was perfect, and sorry for that. And that is very interesting. I believe that we have to take into account your suggestions as a starting point for the analysis of the second year. And then I want later to see also what the colleagues of Vietnam are saying about that, because they have a similar problem with respect to the susceptibility mapping. So thank you all. And I go very quickly to the last part, the last presentation of the first part, where I'm presenting the aspect related to education, because as I told you, we are, okay, sorry, I wanted, is it okay, the visualization?
No,
Yes,
you're
yeah. No?
in presenter mode.
Ah, it's not presenter mode, yes, right.
I am now in presenter mode.
Yeah.
Okay, so we decided this year to do something more, and we had the occasion, as a matter of fact, of doing something more that was not considered in the original proposal. But it is good that things are changing in time, and sometimes you have good opportunities. So the good opportunity was due to the fact that we have a Master of Science here at Politecnico in Geoinformatics Engineering, which is a Master of Science, and it is the first and unique Master of Science of this kind in Italy. It is a 2 years international Master of Science, where we have both Italian and international students. The students attending this master are students coming from 2 different backgrounds. One is environmental science, as Lorenzo Amici is a student of this master, and his background was environmental, but also as Diego, because Diego before was a student of us, and this was also more or less his background. And then the second team, the second part of students, they are coming from computer-oriented first level degrees. So this is something new, which is which is putting together the part related to the environment and specifically geomatic, and on the other side, informatics. So it is, as the name says, geoinformatics. And obviously the students are able of acquiring expertise related to the management of spatial information, design and implementation of infrastructure for geospatial information, but also of managing data coming from which are georeferenced and of different typologies, starting from sensor data on the ground, moving sensor data, sensor data from aircraft, from UAV, as you saw, from satellites as well, putting all together and integrating them in a unique framework and providing the digital model of the Earth. So this is the final aim of the Geoinformatics Engineering course. In this course, I have the opportunity, and I'm very happy of being the teacher of Geographic Information Systems, which is a mandatory teaching of the first year. So the students at the beginning, because it is the first semester of the first year. And in this academic year, we have the opportunity of proposing something which is innovative. So we had the opportunity of being part of the innovative offer of Politecnico di Milano. So this is something formally recognized. And this innovative offer focuses on the collaboration with other international universities. So it's not just an informal collaboration between us and the university in Vietnam, but it is something that is formalized and recognized by Politecnico di Milano and by the other universities as well. So the universities which are involved, because it is still in progress, which are involved in this project are the universities which are involved in this project. So the Hanoi University of Natural Resources and Environment, Vietnamese Institute of Geosciences and Mineral Resources, and the Hanoi University of Mining and Geology, and the Politecnico di Milano on the Italian side. The course, this was part of the Geographic Information System. The Geographic Information Systems course is a course of 100 hours. And in these 100 hours, we cut 40 hours. So, sorry, a bit more, 43 hours, 33 hours. So 30, so 30 related to the practice, where all the students, the Vietnamese and the Italian, they are not really Italian. So the students at Politecnico and the Vietnamese students learned how to work with the GIS tools, both desktop GIS tools and web GIS tools. Then we had a webinar related to the landslide problem, and this webinar was taught both by Italian professors and Vietnamese professors. And then we have, that is very interesting, a joint laboratory for students of Politecnico di Milano and students of the Vietnamese universities. And this lab of 10 hours in class, but more hours outside the class, was tutored by Italian and Vietnamese tutors. So you see here the names of the tutors who are participating to this project. With respect to what the students need to do, they need to compute landslide susceptibility maps, and an indicator also, besides that, also an indicator of landslide hazard exposure for one specific area. Then they need to present the result of their analysis with a website, with a web GIS. The tools that we recommended to use, they are not mandatory, but we recommended to use because those are the tools that the students saw in the practice are QGIS, and then the QGIS processing toolbox, GeoServer, and OpenLayers. And with respect to the data, we ask them to consider both environmental factors for computing the susceptibility map, but also for computing the hazard exposure to consider a population map. If we wanted to enter more into the details of the data that were used, because we needed to have the same typologies of data for proposing the same approach both on the Vietnamese side and on the Italian side. So those are the data that we propose to use. In some cases, it could be that the resolution, the spatial resolution is not exactly the same. And with respect, but unfortunately, we needed to use some how to say, local or national data sets, because we don't have global data sets available. On the opposite, with respect to the population map, we were able of using the word POP, which is a global data set, very, very high resolution because it's 100-meter resolution, and which is available for many years from 2000 to 2020. Okay, so this one is unique. The word POP is unique, both for Vietnam and Italy. On the opposite, in the other case, the typologies of data are the same, but the characteristics of the data can be different. With respect to the areas, we proposed to the students, we considered for Italy some regions, some areas in Lombardy. You see here is the north of Italy, and specifically the region we are considering is Lombardy, which is the region also where there is the Politecnico di Milano. It is a region with a lot of landslides, so we didn't have the problem of finding regions with a lot of landslide. And in case of Vietnam, the area that was selected is this Van Yen district, and those are the different areas that we consider. So the students were subdivided in groups, and now every group is working on its area. So what they have to do is to compute the susceptibility map, to compute this index for the hazard, and then not only that, but also to publish their result with WebGIS. Okay, those are the students working. You see that there are some students in the class in Milan, and then there are some students online, who are the Vietnamese students. So collaborating in this way, exploiting the platforms that we have available, thanks to COVID, that help us in learning how to use these new tools. So students are working now, and those are the tutors, again, helping the students in doing their activity. The students will have the exams in February and the beginning of March. And so I believe that next year, it will be a good point of organizing during the workshop, which could be for instance, the first workshop, to organize also a special session where some students can present their activity, both in terms of the products, so the results, but in terms of the quality of the experience and what they learned with respect to this collaborative class. So this is in a nutshell what we are doing. As I said, the project is not finished. The students are working. Next week, they have a first presentation of their activity. And again, in February, March, we will see the result of their work. So thank you so much. And with this part, I'm concluding the first part of the workshop for today. If there are no immediate questions, I suggest to have the break, but obviously if there are some questions that you want to ask now, feel free of doing that. Yes, there is.
I'm sorry.
Professor Abbiati.
No, because I'm not in the field, so I prefer to ask the question now immediately after I've been listening to the presentations, which were very interesting. And to me, some of them were quite difficult to follow, I have to say, because some technicalities are difficult for me. But just very simple question. I mean, especially for the first two presentations from Basil and Lorenzo, I mean, they focused on the Italian study sites, but I understand also from the GIS course that you are running now that what have been done in Valtellina can be done exactly in the same way because the data are available and everything is available. So it's a practice that can be directly be used by the Vietnamese colleague on their study sites. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is correct. But I want to add that this procedure related to the computation of the susceptibility map was not set by the Italian team, and that's that, but it was set together also with the Vietnamese team. So the two of us, we are contributing to this procedure that is presented then to the students in order to compute the susceptibility map. So you are perfectly correct.
I think this is very important, and of course, I believe that the colleague from the Vietnam, from HURRE, which is the University of the Ministry of Environment, are very much aware of how relevant all this topic is for the Ministry of Environment. And I think that it will be really very, very useful to find an opportunity to meet together with the representative of the Ministry of Environment in order to discuss and to show them your results. Also because in the last months, we have been developing quite a strong collaboration with MORE. As you know, there is a project from the Italian Ministry of Environment about the remote sensing data, but there is also another project from the Development Agency about the Red River management, which involved the University of Brescia, your neighbors, and Professor Ranzi. And with the Development Agency, we had a meeting with the Director General of the Department of Water Resources. And I mean, we are, I have to say, in the process of developing a very good collaboration as Italy overall with MORE. And I think that it will be very, very important if our colleagues from the University of from HURRE will, organize a meeting where you can present it, and this could be open new opportunities, I think, for both Vietnamese and Italian side in order to collaborate. And last comment, just to stress that I am particularly excited by your last presentation, because I think it's really a first example of collaboration in education that has been developed in the framework of the research projects. And as I told you, I would like really to share this information with all the colleagues that are running, both Vietnamese and Italian colleagues that are running the bilateral projects, in order to suggest them to explore these possibilities. Maybe in some fields it's more complicated, in other fields it's easier, but still I think it's a very, very interesting initiative, and it's going to strengthen very much the collaboration between the two universities. And again, this opens also the pathway to think about more structured collaboration in education between universities. And I mean, Politecnico Milano is the best, or one of the best Italian universities in terms of quality of ranking or whatever. I think that it could be really worth to explore these possibilities in the future, even if they're not easy.
Yes, it's not easy, but I believe that it is important. And I don't know if, Quang, do you want to add something about this joint lab and the course, the students, the Vietnamese students attending the course and learning how to use QGIS, GeoSurvey, open layers, and so on?
Yes, of course, we have some comments about the course. So the first section is when the time zone is not changed, is more suitable. But now we are okay. We all students preparing for the reports next week, Monday, right? So I think we will select the best group and then present on that. I'm very happy and thanks so much for the course. What you organize, very well organized and very good tutor, is completely like a system from collect the data, processing the data, running the model, and make the model publics on the web. That is very suitable for what we are studying and what we are doing environmental system. So it's very good, but there's a big problem that we are from many fields. So some group is missing knowledge, like they never programming for web this. So that's is a bit problem for very few groups. And we have some IT and close to IT we can support, and also some thing about programming. So we have very good, and we have a recording on the lecture, and I think everything will be solved. But problem because we are end of the year, so it's quite busy. Someone quite busy, but we have group, so we can support each other. I think next year, if you are available, we want again the course. Yeah, thank you very much.
For sure, it is challenging. It is challenging. I know that it's a very high level. That is true. But please consider that the next week is just the first presentation. So yes, they have to say what they did by now. So it's not the final presentation. But I wanted, in any case, to have a presentation before Christmas in such a way that they have to a bit hurry up and to realize that it's not only attending, but they have really to do. That is, so I'm not expecting them to have finished the project. No, not at all. That just to show what they did by now, have done by now. So it's good. And I know perfectly that is not easy, but we can consider that the different levels of the groups and so on and so on.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. So if there are no other questions or comments.
The question from outside, maybe we keep a discussion session. So we have some question about geology, etc. We can move it into discussion session. It's okay?
Okay, yes, yes. So let's do in this way that now we have
this is a session from Vietnam side. So the first presentation is my presentation. Is this will summarize what we have done in 2021. So this is my. Is it okay? See, okay. This is the team of Vietnam who is contribute more in 2021. So we have let's say 5 groups: geomatics, let's say data science, geology, geohydrology, and hydrology. Because we have a system with the landslide was triggered by rainfall or earthquake. It's the 2 main factors. That's why we have hydrology here. And also we have project secretary. This is very important in Vietnam because we have to do many things with based on government office guide. This first year activity of us, because we have very well preparing strongly collaborated with Politecnico Milano. That's why we have a lot of work packages. Actually, they are in the 2022, but we are starting from we already processed from now. For instance, thematic maps or app for smartphone in order to collect landslide information. With the suggestion of Polimi, we already configuration. We translate on to Vietnamese in both language. And for instance, landslide detection also, because we don't have a free good data with a high resolution. Because of that, landslide detection is a very important task in our side. And also spatial database, WebGIS is already implemented, but not completed like what Polimi presented. But we have already the spatial data, and all the data can be shown in the website now. And we have some product like document that is Ministry of Science and Technologies or requests we have to do, and wrote a lot of report. And for the result paper, we, as Professor Maria Bovelli, so we have 2 scoped paper, and our group also have 1 international conference, 1 domestic paper, and for everything is in green line now, except face-to-face meeting, because we know COVID-19 still problem, so it is in the red line. But with the technology, it's also okay. We can do it online, but as my director said, it's better we can meet together and maybe field work, etc. And yes, field work we just 1 time. Maybe we need more time, spend more time in the field. Every step we already processing. We already doing now. And the next year, I will present later, but in the next year we need more feedback, and maybe academic journal should be added to solve and calibration our result. This is on the list of all report we have done in this year. Actually, we officially start project from July 2021. That's why it's a bit quite late. But on the status is completed. So all the thing is reviewing materials, data, rainfall data, and methodology, machine learning, etc., UAV. And yes, we already finished, and we will submit in this week to MOES, Ministry of Science and Technology. And I will show you the complete system diagram, what we have to be done at the end of the project, because we will build a system to collect things. It can connect with mobile app to collect data and automatically process the data and give back the client successively map, and also warning alert message or something like that. And for that, in this year we already we done something like geospatial data. Is I think is 80% finished now, And we landslide collecting data from mobile app. We also implement and we can improve that, and we can use in 2022. And factor to trigger landslide using rainfall data, we already have. And for for map server, we already implemented. And now it can showing you the product of the spatial data, but it need to improve into 2000 in next year. Okay. And for the first time is landslide accessibility map. We use right now we use two models, is random forest and logistic regression. So we already follow the methodology is similar, quite similar to Politecnico Milano. But we are in different study area. This study area is quite affected by human activity. And about data input, we have the math inheritance, most of them from Institute of Geoscience and Natural Resources. For example, landslide inventory, and we have group 1 is come from DM data. That is, we use Pansat Jam with the best resolution for Earth now. And for lands, use land cover and NDVI, etc. We use Sentinel-2 with a resolution 10 meters. And for landslide monitoring and detect, we use Sentinel-1. Okay. This is a diagram of how we process landslide accessibility map. This is information of all the factors for building landslide accessibility map. We have 11 factors now. In next year, we will add more factors, such as land use, land cover, and litology map, for instance. Okay, from because they come from different sources, so we need to normalize them based on the statistical index. And statistical index point out where exactly where landslide happened, and we can calculate the E-class index for every landslide factor. And we did the comparison between the two models, and logistic regression in this case a bit better. And two models also give the same result. The main factor affected to landslide in study area is rock, and the second is geology. And in the right side, you can see the landslide accessibility map with 4 different level of very high, from very high to low landslide accessibility map to landslide. And for smartphone, we some month ago we have a student, they developed for that and installed it successfully, and everything is translated and it's ready to use. So I will use this for the next finchips. Yeah. And one of the results is very important for our side is this correlation between rainfall and landslide. This is done by Dr. Ha from Ministry of from Institute of Geoscience. So the functions related to between rainfall and landslide is, you can show is shown here. is E(i) equal to this function in the right side. This E mark is E is a total rainfall, and I mark is maximum of daily rainfall. And if we use that function for study for in-by province, we get that 100% of landslide events can be predicted based on threshold. But problem about that is around 70.6% rainfall events may exceed threshold, but have not been determined by to related to landslide. That is normal, yeah. But we need to validate this function in next year. And for landslide monitoring, this work by Professor Van Anh. We use Sentinel-2 with pairs in some methods. So the results show that almost the result from pairs inside with the serial data changing time from 2018 to 2021 is completely matched with the landslide inventory map and even the landslide what we are collected from FinChip. And but there is problem about the vegetation changes, so we need also to study more deeply about this. And after the FinChip, we thought that because of human activity happened more in this area, so we decided to adding land use land cover in the study area. We will do for land use land cover for every year. This is from Dr. Hang, who is inside our group. And for FinChip, we have to spend 3 days there, and we have to collect on the landslide along road from Mu Cang Chai to from In-by to Văn Yên, and from Văn Yên to Mu Cang Chai districts. And we have also report, and we already submit to Ministry of Education and Technology. And here's some images about field work. And the products about websites, because we have few projects before, so we can easily convert them to this kind of information. But this technologies make the styles quite slow. So maybe we win this card, and we win take more information from the stakeholder or expert to change also next year. In this slide, we use technology is similar to Politecnico Milano, but for client size the different. We use Angular. The Angular is quite good, but sometimes make the system quite slow. Here is 2 images. One is in the left side is a landslide inventory. A landslide accessibility map, and right side is aspect map with the road on the top. That is all the product of this year. Thank you. Hello. Maybe it's a question. If we have, we can move to.
I believe that it's better to leave questions to the end.
Yes. Yeah. So now I would like to invite the second presentation. Is from Professor Van Anh, Hanoi University of Mining and Geology. The title of presentation is Determination of Vegetation Cover Change and the Relationship with Landslide Location in Yên Bái area. So please, Giovanni.
Hello.
Okay, she's here.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, Italian side, and good afternoon, Vietnamese side. I think Dr. Quang should stop share screen. Maybe I can share my screen. Quang, can you stop sharing your screen? Because I cannot share my screen. Okay. Can you see? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Today I'd like to present a little bit about our research in determination of vegetation cover change and the relationship with the landslide location in Yên Bái area. But which is focused on only in Văn Yên district. As you know, Văn Yên is also the small study areas that located in Yên Bái province. So it has the border with some district around is western border with Văn Chấn district and southern with the Trấn Yên, and the northern border with Văn Bản district and Bảo Yên district of Lào Cai province. So in here you can see the Red River is big river run from China to Vietnam, and it's also have many landslides happen along this road, these rivers and road also. So the data set in this time we select the Sentinel-2 data set. Sentinel-2 is, as you know, is European Space Agency ESA, and it's has high resolution multi-spectrum, and it has 13 spectral bands visible and near infrared at 10 meter from red east, and sphere at 20 meter at atmospheric band, and at 60 meter spatial resolution. And the number of images we select in two phases. The first phase from 2019 January to 2019 May 30 in the first, and the post, and the post event is 2020 December to 2021 March 30. Why we select the data into phase like this? Because we want to select the data coincident with the radar images, because we did before the radar images processing, as Dr. Quang showed before. So we want to comparing the landslide from Sentinel-1 time series processing and the change of the forest, the vegetation. So the time of data collection is had to similar to each other. So that's why we select this time. With the method, we use Google Earth engines. So as you know, Google Earth engine is cloud platform, and satellite data can be accessed from a variety of sources. It can upload data from desktop to combine with the existing data on Google Earth engines, and many images processing algorithm can be applied, and it can export data as images, vector, tables, and charts. And also the data like Sentinel-2, we can collect from here. So here is this, the interface, Google Earth Engine's interface. You can see here some different windows. So the first window is for a script. We can create the new script in here, and this is the window for typing the function or something like this in this windows. And the console and the biggest window is you can show the map, and it's run on the script is can show in here. So here's the sign up account. You can if you don't have the account, you can using this link for create the account. And Google Earth Engine is a web-based integrated development environment IDE for Earth Engine JavaScript APIs and code editor features are designed to have develop geospatial workflow quickly and easily. So that way, in this time, we try with this. So with the processing, we create the flowchart like this one with the main branch of flowchart. You can see here, create the, we have to create the area of interest, AOI, and using the shapefile from desktop computers, and we upload, that means import images into Google Earth Engine using the area of interest, and filtering of the previous and the after previous and post images. And in this research, we use the classification method for two types of images is random forest. And using the result from random forest, we make the subtraction between previous and after classified images, and to eliminate the change in the other vegetation without the forest, we use the DEM for masking the some areas, area with the slope less than 10 degrees, and also select only the forest areas for that. So we have the forest capuchins, and also using the result from Sentinel-1 time series processing before, comparing with that. Just a little bit about random forest. Random forest is an algorithm comprising of many single decision trees that act like union. Each individual trees in random forest make a prediction about the class, and the class with the most fruit become the prediction of that model. So random forest model is very effective for image classification because it's mobilize hundreds of small models inside with different rules to make the final decision. So in here, we just had to select the number of tree for that and number of image tree for that, like a variety of that. So in here, the example of using the command in the script when we select the time of processing. In this case, we select the before and after in Google Earth Engine, showing here like this one. And is using the random forest, just call the function is random forest. In this, we select 500 case, 503 for this, for each time of classified 2 type of images. Here's result. In this one, we select only 4 types of land cover, because in here we want to focus on only forest and the urban and bare land. Also, we group it in the bare land, and which is divided in water, forest, bare land, and cropland. And here is 2 times in 2019 and 2021 for using the random forest classification. And using 2 times, we make the subtraction between 2 times that. So after make the subtraction, we have the difference between 4 types of land cover, but we just want to focus only on the forest, because the forest change will relating to the landslide. So if the forest become the bare land, that means before you see the forest is 1 and bare land is 2. If the forest become bare land, that means after subtraction it will become 1. So we select only the forest change to bare land in here, and mask out all the DM less than 10 degrees, and the result is the left side of the slide like this one. So with this one, we was comparing with the landslide using Sentinel-1 time series in the right side in this one. So there are some area we need to zoom in, like Langtip commune and Châu Quế Hạ commune and Xuân Tầm, Phong Du Thượng, and Naho. It is some big areas with the many landslide happen was detected by Sentinel-1 time series. So in here, I'm zooming and focus to the Langtip areas. You can see in here with the red dot is the landslide is highest, and medium is yellow, and with the pink color is the land cover change, forest cover change. With that, you can see some coincided with that. And also in Châu Quế Hạ, you can also see some change inside the ellipside, red ellipside in here. But also the other forest change is doesn't coincide with. But I think we need to morphing work, morphing check for that. Also, the other is Châu Quế Thượng. You also see inside the ellipse, red ellipside here. And here is the Xuân Tầm also. And Naho and Phong Du Thượng also, you can see the PS point, landslide point also existing on the forest cover change in here. And also Phong Du Thượng, you can see 2 ellipside here. And in Phong Du Thượng is the southern part of Văn Yên. You can see in this area and 3 areas. There are many PS point. It's very dense in this and in this also. And we check with the field work from Quang. Last month, Quang go to the field work and collect some point. And in here, we change the color to the orange color to easy to recognize. And the triangle, black triangle, is the field work. With that, we overlay with the PS point also, and the land cover chains, forest cover chains in here is some coincident with that. There's only some point in Văn Yên, and which is showing here. You see. And after all, we have some conclusion is that we think that random forest classification is very good for land cover classification. With this in 2 time periods, and we did with the kappa coefficient achieved is 0.9 and 0.87. And with Sentinel-2 images with spatial resolution of 10 meter is very suitable for the monitoring vegetation cover chains over time. And the selected chains is forest and has been compared with landslide site made with PS style. And there are quite a few locations that coincident with landslide site coincident with, though with vegetation chains, but still need more field check. And we thank, I want to thank you for your attention.
I am not hearing anything. It is right.
Sorry.
Thank you, Professor Van Anh,
Okay.
for your interesting presentation and improving the methodology and results for detecting landslide, for monitoring and detecting landslide. Thank you. And maybe we have a question later. And the third presentation, I would like to invite Dr. Hang from Osaka University and HUMG, but she's have some problem today. So maybe Professor Van Anh will present again for the third presentation. So the title is called Study Lands Use and Lands Cover Changes in the Study Area. Please, Professor Van Anh.
Okay. Yeah, again, I want to make presentation for Hằng because she had problem with the health. So so you can you see?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so with this is her study is about the land use and land cover change in Văn Yên and Mù Cang Chải district. And she's focused on land use and land cover classification method. So also in this study areas, she's also focused in two research areas is Văn Yên and Mù Cang Chải district. And also she did with the Sentinel-2 images in 2 times, 2020, October 23rd, and 2020, November 14. And in here, you can see the different data set. She's select the areas with 4 areas. You can see in here 4 areas with 5 multiplied 5 kilometers, and randomly select for the generating reference data set. The data set is collected manually based on visual interpretation of Google satellite in 2020 and Sentinel-2 2020 with verification using forest map in 2013. And the study will identify 7 land cover class. That is the waters, build-up, active field, right terrace, non-forest vegetation, and forest, bare land, and others. And here's methodology flowchart. Reference data set is randomly divided. You can see in here, divided into 80% for training data set and 20% for testing data set. And Sentinel-2 in 2020 reprocessing, and she will do with 3 methods. First is random forest. The second is light convolution neural network and maximum likelihood. And then we'll compare together and evaluate the accuracy. And again, she did with random forest, and I don't explain again because also I already say about that. So also she select the decision tree is also 500 tree, and the number of variables if M3 is using the equation is stored, and here is in this equation. So with the other method is light convolution neural network. So with this method, considers a group of pixels inside a moving window filter as an object and use only few convolutional layers amid pooling layers and fully connected layers. And hyperparameter is zero padding straight equal 1, and activation function is rectified linear unit. Optimizer ADAM and learning rate is 10 exponent minus 5. And number of epochs equal 100, and environment is Google Colab. And here is the results. You can see in here with the result of random forest classification, light convolution neural network in the right side, and maximum likelihood in here, and with the seven type of land use and land cover, like this one. She's want to focus on the different type of classification method, as she divided in very detailed of land use land cover time, different with my method, because I just want to select only the forest. So that's why I divided only 4 times land cover. But in this case, she want to separate 7 and want to prove that which one is the best classification method. Here the classification accuracy for 3 methods: random forest, light convolution neural network, and maximum likelihood. And you can see in here with overall accuracy and kappa with the 3 methods. And you see overall accuracy of random forest is 91.1, is highest in 3 meters, and also kappa is 0.87. It's also highest accuracy for that. And you can see for each land cover type, also accuracy also is higher, a little bit higher than the other method. Oh, sorry. So after all, she want to do more, like with the future work, she want to improve classification accuracy of build-up party fill and bell and other class, and classify the land cover map of 2017, 2018, and 2019 using random forest classifier, and evaluate land cover change in the period of 2017 and 2020, because she wants to detect the change in this period is coincident with the research project from Dr. Quang. And yeah, that's all. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Vân Anh, for presenting the very good, very interesting presentation again. So the question we will move to discussion session. So the first presentation, I would like to invite the new face of our project is Mr. Nguyễn Văn Mạnh from the National Cheng Kung University, Taiwan, and Vietnam, also in Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology, VAST. The title of presentation is Convolutional Neural Networks by Approach in Landslide Accessibility Map. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Prof?
Yes, well.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, good morning, and good afternoon to all professors, doctors, and distinguished guests. My name is Nguyễn Văn Mạnh, and I am very glad to be included in the workshop of Geoinformatics and Earth observation for landslide monitoring. Today, I would like to deliver a topic of a deep learning-based approach in landslide susceptibility mapping. So, so I just get invited by Dr. Quang. So this time is my first appearance. So I would like to briefly introduce myself. I am currently a PhD candidate at Geospatial Artificial Neural Network, Artificial Intelligence Laboratory of Department of Geomatics, National Cheng Kung University, Taiwan. And I am also serving for Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology. And my interest including the application of remote sensing, DIS for environmental monitoring, and also the machine learning. So at present, I just have limited publications in ISPIS, Journal of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing, IEEE Z-Star, and MDBI Remote Sensing. So back to my presentations, I'm going to present my main idea how we can consider the CNN to improve the performance of generating the landslide susceptibility map. Take a case study in the Mù Căng Chải, Vietnam, because I have seen that in Vietnamese side and also in Italian side, we are applying the machine learning models. So I am wondering why we not consider the CNN, because CNN is really good at considering the spatial patterns. So moving on the introductions, you know that it's very clear that Vietnam is one of the countries heavily suffering many impacts of climate change. So climate change increase extreme meteorological phenomena to Vietnam in terms of frequency, space, and also time, combining with a diverse and very complex topography And also we have very strong coastline. So the country suffer many different type of natural hazards, not only including the land, not only landslide, but also the flood and the drought. So so the Mù Cang Chải district is selected for the study areas. It is located in the northwest of Yên Bái province of Vietnam. So the area is under a tropical monsoon regions, having heavy rainfall and mostly covered by forest. And the topography of the areas is also very complex, with intervening deep valleys and mountains in the region occupy steep slope up to 88 degrees. So for this reason, the product of landslide susceptibility map is very important to environmental decision maker to help them to avoid the potential risk and damage of landslide to the society. So moving on the literature reviews. So firstly, I would like to understand what the team have done so far. So, and I found that the team has proposed many machine learning algorithms to develop the landslide susceptibility map. So for example, in 2018, Dr. Quang proposed a hybrid model of the backing ensemble and logistic model tree to generate the landslide susceptibility models in upper ridge area of Red River basins. And the results show that the performance of his proposed model is very good, showing the classification accuracy of more than 90% in the trainings and more than 80% in the validations. And this model outperformed the support vector machine and also the standard alone LMT models. And the other two, and also Dr. Quang also further proposed two other models using the artificial neural network. So I think that from my point of view, I think that even though the machine learning models, for example, artificial neural network, support vector regressions, random forest, or decision tree, could successfully generate a landslide susceptibility map with a very high accuracy. So I can see that the model still possesses several limitations and possibly can be improved by using the deep learning models. For example, the machine learning model, they require very huge amount of the ground truth sample for the model calibration and also for the validations. And some models, they require a lot of time to tune the hyperparameter models. So, and also some models, they can be suffering a size dependency issues. That means that the developed model can be applied in one location, but when you bring this model to other locations, the accuracy of that model will significantly decrease. So here are the main objectives of my study areas of my study. So to develop a deep learning based model for landslide susceptibility map for the study areas, it is in Mù Cang Chải, Yên Bái. And to avoid the problem of insufficient quantity of in-situ sample and the size dependency by using the transfer learning with layer sharing network structures, and also I will also consider the data augmentations to increase the size of the sample, training sample. And also the hyperparameter network is automatically tuned by using the hyperparameter optimization models. So firstly, I would like to briefly introduce the CNNs. So you know that the CNN is a subclass of the machine learning in which the network have three main functional, that is the convolutional layers, Boolean layers, and also the fully connected layers. So nowadays the CNN is widely applied for the classifications and also for the regressions. The input to the CNN is a three-dimensional array, and the output could be the discrete classes in classification or even the continuous values in the regressions. And the convolutional layers is responsible for automatically extracting the spatial patterns at various regions of the study areas by using the window filters. These window filters will move in the horizontals and also the vertical directions to automatically extract the spatial patterns. And then this feature map will be passed through the pooling layers to perform a max pooling operations to decrease the size of the feature map. And finally, the fully connected layer will establish the nonlinear relationship between this feature map and the target output. And here, this slide I'm showing you just the proposal, just the proposed architecture of the LSM net. So LSM stands for the landslide susceptibility map. So you can see that on the input layer, we will consider 8 input variables. So absolutely, we can increase the input variable. And after that, we put the convolution layers, max pooling layers. And finally, that is a landslide classifications. And after we get the classification results, so we use the landslide susceptibility index and also the overall susceptibility to calculate the susceptibility class of each pixel. And even though I think from my point of view, I think even we can directly generate landslide susceptibility models with 5 classes, including the very low class, and moderate, high, and very high classes. And you know that the data augmentations are the techniques used to increase the amount of the data by adding slightly modified copy of already existing data. I have seen that from the machine learning model, they always require a huge amount of the sample for trainings. And but the machine learning model, they are the pixel-based model, so it's hard to increase the training sample. So if you want to increase the training sample, you have only one way, that you go to the field and collect more sample. But in the CNN, because the input of the CNN is a 3 array, so we can do some the modifications of the input to increase the large amount of the training sample. For example, we can just slightly rotate the input, so we get a new input. And here about the transfer learning. I am speaking about the transfer learning because I think that it is good to I think it is very good if we can develop one models that can be applied in Vietnam areas and also in the Italy areas. So that's why I consider the transfer learning technique. So the transfer learning technique will consists of 2 steps. One is the pre-training state, and the second one is the fine-tuning state. And in the pre-training state, so the landslide classification map will be generated by using any existing models, for example, the support vector regressions or the random forest. And after that, the LSM net is pre-trained by using this data set. And after we get the pre-trained LSM net, so we can retrain this model by using our real in-situ sample in the fine-tuning state. So the final result can significantly increase the accuracy compared to the other machine learning models. And to perform the model evaluations and comparisons, absolutely we will consider some statistical parameters, for example, the AOC curve, the kappa index. So the LSM net also will be further compared with the random forest, support vector machines, artificial neural networks, and even the hybrid bagging ensemble and logistic model 3 proposed by Dr. Quang, to see which one have the highest accuracy. So the model with highest accuracy will be applied to get the landslide susceptibility map of the study areas. So here, that is the recent progress I proposed in year 2022. So first, we take the first quarters to for the data pre-processing, and from March to July, we will develop the models and have some evaluation on the models, on the performance of the models. And the third quarters is to get the spatial and the temporal landslide susceptibility map analysis. And last quarters, we will write the papers and submit the papers to the journals. So that is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I believe that now we have the last presentation, correct?
Thank you, Mike, for sorry, Maya, I forgot again. Thank you, Mike, for your well presentation and with very potential methodology. We hope can move next year to work together. And the last presentation is I would like to invite Dr. Ding from Institute of Geoscience and Mineral Resources. The title is okay, Ding, please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. This afternoon, we already see the results from the first year of the project, Geoinformatics and Earth observation for landslide monitoring. This meeting, we have very nice logo of our project. I think that is congratulations for the new logo of our projects. And Dr. Quang asked me to prepare quite a broad view of the science and technology for landslide hazard management. That I think that this is quite a broad term, and I will go very quick through the overview of landslide in Vietnam and the science technology for landslide research and management, and some conclusion and recommendations. You see that here's a landslide map of the world. Vietnam is in the hotspot of the landslide occurrence in the world. You see here Vietnam, the map that magnified, and the northern part and middle part of Vietnam, we have many landslide which may cause the casualty from 10 to 100 people at once event. And here the landslide, the big one, occur in Vietnam according to our inventory. The most landslide occur in the remote location, and the disaster happen almost every year, and it's the frequencies and the intensity tend to increase due to the climate exchange, climate exchange that caused by climate change. Because we are in the rough and steep slope terrain with highly weathered and fracture and low inherent material of soil material, loose material, and the vegetation is strongly decreasing, and the bare soil increase and becomes popular. And the rainfall also triggering factor tend to increase. And for example, in the former time, the average rainfall is sometimes reach 200 millimeters per day. and also the human activities for cutting slope, deforestation, and mineral exploration for the economic development. Also, the factor contribute to the landslide in Vietnam. Here's some casualty and damage caused by landslide in the last decade. I already showed you in the last seminar. And going to the science technology for landslide research and management, we go from landslide inventory and susceptibility mapping in Vietnam. So in each step of the landslide research, we also need a lot of input from science and technology, and the advance of science and technology will contribute to the advance of landslide research. For example, for landslide research, we need the contribution of the geology, for example, geotechnics, the soil science, the soil mechanics, the meteorology, hydrology, and also the math in terms of modeling, the GS science, IT.
Sorry, Dr. Dean, I think we don't hear you anymore.
For the technology, we would need the database. So at the moment in Vietnam, own database are managed and separately in different line ministry. So we need to synchronize the database. For example, here we see that we have nearly 600 stations, center from station for meteorological data, from the Center for Hydrology and Meteorology Forecast. We have nearly 1,000 stations from the private company, and also for hydrology we have 500 stations in Vietnam. For weather forecast, we also have the data from National Center for Hydrology, Meteorology Forecast, and we also incorporate the international station also. And all the data now was integrated in the system that based in the Vietnam Disaster Management Agency for disaster monitoring. For the Earth observation database, at the moment we have collection of nearly 1,000 scenes of satellite image for disaster assessment that we collect from 2017, just recently. So we are cooperate with the ADPC and different agencies, for example, Sentinel Asia, to produce the emergencies map for the management purpose. With the GS technology, as we have seen from beginning of the seminar, we see that with the help of the GS technology, we can produce the landslide susceptibility map in different regions. Also we can produce the inventory map for the whole Vietnam at the moment, including Yên Bái, this province that is the area of focus in our projects. So for example, in the next stage, if we go to the whole country, we also can provide the data for our collaboration. And I think that the application of artificial intelligence, machine learning technology, we applied already in Yên Bái province. We also can use the same technology in the other area. For example, here's the landslide susceptibility mapping that we already did with different technology using GS technology. For example, multi-criteria analysis. So we can improve this product by using our advanced technology in using machine learning as well. So I go quickly through this slide. So for the landslide monitoring and modeling in Vietnam, we also use the other technology, the IoT technology, and the information technology for the real-time early warning system for debris flow and the landslide as well. So the free flow, the first ever station, we already installed in the Bản Khoang, Sapa in Lào Cai province. In this system, the IoT, the sensor technology, and the information technology heavily applied. So we also need to integrate different other science, for example, geology, hydrology, meteorology, soil science, and modeling technology. So this one we have been in cooperation with Taiwan, and we use the same technology applied to another area in Mù Cang Chải in Vietnam. And I think that the two projects we can have the information exchange to improve the results and to from both projects. So the other one is a project for installing and testing the early observation and warning system in order to reduce the risk of landslide and debris flow. We use in several areas, for example, in Hòa Bình, in Mù Cang Chải, and in Nậm Păm, in Sơn La. So in this project, we also use another technology, Sabo dam, and different design of the dam to reduce the risk of the debris flow. This one is this project will start in next year with the collaboration with the Japanese partner. So the other project we use satellite observation technology to integrate with the sensor at the installed at the site to collect the data integrated into the system for multi-hazard and resilient observatory for Hanoi. So we collect the data in different small catchment in Red River Delta, and the data is processes and provide the information to the local authority. And another application that we already heard from our project, it's the awareness raising of the community of landslide through the citizen science. And this one is, I think that is quite effective in terms of raising awareness, and also the citizen science also help us a lot in collecting the data for the landslide susceptibility mapping. Another one is the technology, the Earth observation technology also can help us for landslide monitoring. And the new technology, we've seen that the UAV technology also have for landslide monitoring. For example, in this one, we have the landslide that occur in Hòa Bình province, and we collect the UAV data from different day. The first one is in May 2020, and the second one in November 2022. And we can clearly see the movement of the landslide here in the with the vegetation here in the center of the image. So we can calculate the movement of the landslide in a different area. So this is the collaboration we have been doing with the NASA, with Dalia Kirschbau for the landslide forecast in Vietnam, in the whole country, in within the project, Severe Mekong project. So the precipitation data will be collected from the satellite image in quite cost resolution, and we input the global global precipitation model and the landslide model for the forecast of landslide for the whole region. So go to the conclusion and recommendation. It's clear that the landslide in Vietnam occur more often and cause the huge loss, especially in the mountainous area. And in the past, up to now, the application of remote sensing and GIS are widely used, not only in the world, but also in Vietnam. We already use quite a lot. And we also need to incorporate different source of Earth observation, the UAV, and also apply the new advance of the geomatics and artificial intelligence technology into our research. And the early warning system, we also need to develop, and it requires more time to develop and to evaluate the effectiveness of the early warning system. So there are some recommendations that we can make in the next phase of our projects and in the future. For example, we need more investment in on science and technology, on landslide research and management, and the international collaboration also need. That's why we have the project between Italy and Vietnam at the moment, and the marriage between artificial intelligence and Earth observation data, I think that is timely and very necessary. So that is also one of the objectives of our projects. And the cooperation can be developed through the Horizon Europe and the bilateral collaboration between Vietnam and Italy. And I think that the need to implement soon the not only one pilot project, but also the whole system for early observation and warning system for debris flow, landslide nowcast and forecast in the North Mountain areas. And also for education, I think that at the moment we have the call from Erasmus Plus for capacity building in higher education system. Just open so we can think about the joint proposal for the one training course or master course within the Erasmus Mundus. So here's some technology that we are in the collaboration with NASA using the global model predicting the precipitation for the landslide nowcast and forecast. And here's some data that we can collect with the help of Earth observation technology. For example, the biosphere, the soil moisture, the temperature, and also precipitation that help us to improve our model in landslide prediction and forecast. That is end of my presentation, and the results of this presentation come from different collaboration between our institutes and BGS, NASA, and also with the support of GCIF and VIA EOS from Belgian government. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Ding, for your presentation. It's going to include everything about landslide. So I think Maria, can we do the warming up and Angela for 2022 and discussion, right?
Yes. Also, because at 1 I have to leave you because I have my lesson. So.
Okay. Sorry for the times. Oh yes.
No. I know. We are perfectly on time.
Okay. Yes, I will take 5 minutes about that. So for the results in the first year 2021 is clear for everyone. As a comment on the chart, so I would go directly to the what we will do in next year 2022 in the both side. Okay. First of all, on behalf of two team, I will take this part, but because we also including Italian side, so if I do something wrong, please correct me after in the discussion section. So from the Vietnam side, so we have a little amount of budgets for do geological corrected assessment. I mean the field work based on we can do drain activity and electrical resistivity at small area. For example, we select specific area and we can do drain activity there. And also we have a small budgets for getting UAV image. I think after all of this, we can have a better image about study area and we can have more accuracy landslide inventory. Okay, and the second point is complete a smartphone app to collect landslide information. This is in our plan because we have a very strong support from Politecnico, and we always looking for the best data. So now we look for data from Earth observation data, and we have a machine learning model. That's why we have a big team about machine learning to help us. And with the two above from geology fieldwork and UAV, we can have a better and good accuracy of landslide inventory map. And we continued with the implementation of different AI approach for get better accessibility map and also landslide is taken because we have to build up a complete system for that. And the last is develop GeoPortal for everything can run inside that portal, and this portal also can support the data, landslide information to the community, to scientists, and to friends, university, for instance. And from Italy side, there is also fine point here. Sorry, 6. Okay, this is almost a mess with Vietnam side. We will continue with the implement of different AI approach for get better susceptibility map and also landslide detections. So increase the time of satellite data. I mean the improving and looking for the better input data with inclusion of hyperspectral sensor, for instance, ISE PISMA missions and active sensor like ASR Sentinel-1 and ASI Cosmos Climate. The Cosmos Climate also interested for me and for our project at the end, but it's quite costly for our budgets. That's why we don't have that. And implement the developed monitoring approach for landslides case study, and complete the development of landslide landslide survey app. Okay, maybe some improvement, and it's it's closer to community. Sorry. And the last point is complete the development of Geo web platform. Okay, I'm very happy because two target of both sides is almost similar. Okay, I finished my talk about running up and Angela for 2022. Thank you for listening. So now we can move directly to the discussion section.
So thank you, Quang. And first of all, I believe that we deserve a big applause, because looking at what we did this year, it's really impressive. A lot of work. And what is interesting is that we were working in parallel. Partially, we were able of integrating our results, but now, starting from the next year, we needed to integrate more. So to consider together landslide in the Italian side as also processed by the Vietnamese team, and the other way around. So working really using the same typologies of data and reapplying them on the data independently of the fact that they are in Italy or in Vietnam. That is one relevant point. And with respect to artificial, so to machine learning, in my opinion, we are doing a lot of, we are improving a lot. And so I believe that it's really promising, but I already spoke a lot, so I wanted to leave the floor to people who have questions.
So from Maria, from my side, I quite surprised about what your side have done, because it's in my plan is should be 2 years. So, but your group is already done a lot of work. So this year, next year, we need to improve and make it available for the end user, for instance, is also important. That is my comment, because we want many people using our product. That is one of goal, what I and my team want to do. That is my comment.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I see that there are also people. So Claudio Serafini, probably you are still here. I don't know.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, okay. Because probably you can introduce yourself also, explaining why you are here, what is your interest.
Yeah, thank you.
Then I want to have some comments from you.
My comments, and first of all, I would like to thank you, all of you, for this very, very interesting meetings that I have seen today. And I'm Claudio Serafini. I'm sales manager for IGEOS. IGEOS is a Leonardo Finmeccanica company, and we do remote sensing. Using satellites, we perform monitoring using optical and radar satellites. We have a special feeling with Vietnam, and I have a special feeling with Professor Marco Abbiati and all the team that are there. And we are working since many years for a very interesting project, and that is very close to the happy ending. And so with the signing the contract with the MORE, Ministry of National Resources and Environment of Vietnam, to provide a geoinformation center for monitoring the effects of climate change in Vietnam. So that's why my curiosity and strong interest for this meeting related to landslides. It's I would say it's a dual feeling. Once for what we are starting to do in Vietnam. The second point is that all what I have seen today is absolutely in a very close connection of what we are promising for, and that we starting to do for Vietnam.
Okay, thank you. So it means that as this project is going ahead, there will be probably other occasions of sharing what we are doing, because you are starting right now, and so the topic is okay, is not exactly the same, but I believe that the landslides are part of these larger problem, which are all the effects related to climate change. And so we need to keep in touch. This is the
absolutely. Landslides many times, as you can teach me, are one of the effects of the climate change, of course, and or could be one of the effects of climate change due to deforestation and all the things that are involved in this very critical phenomenon. And I think that doing this teaming, working together with the private institution and private companies and university, so is the key factor for this kind of activities towards a very interesting country like Vietnam. And absolutely my welcome and the pleasure working together to develop together the best-in-class solution for Vietnam, of course.
Maria?
Yes,
Hi.
I'm expecting you.
You're terrible. No, Maria. I think that, ciao, Claudio. I think that it's absolutely important, the presence of Claudio here. And as I was saying before, I would really like to suggest to the colleagues from PUNRE, if they are able to plan a meeting, a workshop, an event together with MORE. MORE is the partner with Claudio, is a partner with the university, with PUNRE. So bringing together MORE, you all, science and the companies is going to be the best way also of promoting what is called the Italian system. Showing how integrating the innovation that comes from science, together with the abilities and the skills of the industry and the companies, can make an added value in order to, strengthen the ability of Vietnam to face the issues that are raised by the Prime Minister, by the Minister of Environment, by everybody that is dealing with climate change. And so I think it will be really very, very important to try to have in next year a meeting. I'm not sure if this meeting could be organized in presence, also with the Italian partners. I hope so, I'm not sure. Things are slowly moving also in Vietnam. This is one information that I want to give you. Specialists, it's not open for scientists yet in Vietnam, but for specialists, yes. So if there is a people that is involved in technology transfer, in implementation of research, like Claudia is going to be with the project that they have with Morre, they can have the permission to enter Vietnam. To get the permission takes 5 weeks. The process of applying, taking care and following, even if the embassy is involved and can provide all the support that we can provide as a consulate, it takes anyway 5 weeks up to now, but still it's possible. And apparently Vietnam is willing to open some, up to today we only have special flights to enter Vietnam, but from next year some commercial flights should start again. So if commercial flights starts, it means that people can enter Vietnam easily. So I don't assume that we will be able to have Italian partners here, but anyway, I think it will be important to start considering also the timing of the ministries in Vietnam, to start soon after Tet, let's say. So don't start before Tet, because that is a very important celebration, of course, but soon after Tet, start a dialogue with the ministry and to see when and how we could arrange a meeting, also because the actual Minister of Environment has a very good relationship with the Italian embassy and with Italy. And so, we should try to use this opportunity to promote, science, results of science, research, technology, and integration. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. But looking at the background of Claudio, probably we don't need to have flights available. He can drive directly us to Vietnam.
Yes, jumping in.
So thank you very much. A really very, very interesting meeting. Thank you, Maria, for what I have seen today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for attending. I don't know if there are other questions or... So I hear none. So at this point, I believe that we can take an appointment for next year, because next year in February or March, we will have the first workshop of the 2002 with the presentation also of the activities of the students at this point, and an update about what we will do in the next months of 2022, because we will go ahead with the same pace. So probably there will be something new to present. And I want to take the occasion of thanking all the colleagues from Italy and from Vietnam for the hard work that they did, and specifically, above all, Quang on the Vietnamese side for the wonderful coordination of all the team. Yes, do you have a minor question? Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I am just new in the field of the landslide. So I learned a lot from your side today with many presentations. So I have a very minor questions about the sample selection for training and the testing. So I see that the training samples and also the testing sample are very close to each other. So when you perform the random forest, I see that the training samples and also the testing samples are very close to each other. So I am wondering that is there any possible to that the spatial correlation issue, the issue of the spatial correlation happens because when the training and the testing are very close to each other, so all the features will be similar.
Yes, they are close, but not overlapping, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it is true that they are close.
Yes, probably okay, because the landslide inventories of those areas are quite dense, and also the the factors are varying quite a lot. So even though they look close, the factors are quite different, and we've compared the rasters, the overall ones with the samples for the training and testing, and in general, it's quite good coverage as distribution. But yeah, they also vary really in a small scale. So it's better. We're providing quite dense training data set, let's say.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, no, in my opinion, it's very good, man, as you are working on the same topic, it's very good if we have one meeting specifically for the people working on machine learning. So not a general one, but for specifically on this topic. We can organize in January a meeting in which we enter better into the details of the different procedures applied. Because, for instance, I saw that we are interested also in applying what you showed today to our case study. And we have ready, all the data are ready, so it's just a matter of working together on that. And I believe that we can do the opposite with respect to Vietnam. So that was my previous comment, that really we have to merge more also from that point of view what we are doing. So my proposal is to have a meeting in January specifically on machine learning with all the people involved in machine learning for discussing about what we presented and deciding how to apply it to the landslide both in Vietnam and in Italy. Is it good? Do you agree?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fantastic. I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy about that. Okay. Are there other questions?
Just a very short, I mean, I'm sure that you're going to share all the material with us that you presented
Not
today.
with you.
Not with me. Oh, wow. And
no, I'm joking, sorry.
Oh, no worries. No, it's fine, it's fine. And what I want to say is that if you agree, Maria, I would like to share your presentation with the other principal investigators of the Italia-Vietnam projects, so that to show them how you developed your, educational activities and your course here. Is that okay for you?
Sure, it's okay, absolutely okay. And if they need other pieces of information, they can contact me.
Thank you very much.
No
Thank
problem.
You. Super propositive as always. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, I'm ready to run to my classroom for starting my lesson.